Imagine waking up next to someone every day for 5 years, believing they're your partner and your person, and then finding out they were hiding their entire identity from you the whole time. That was my reality. I married a lie, and I didn't realize it until it was too late. Her name was Emily, or at least, that's what she told me when we met. We were introduced at a mutual friend's birthday dinner. She had just moved to the city and said she was freelancing as a book editor. She claimed she worked with small publishers, mostly from home. She had a portfolio and a decent-looking LinkedIn profile, so I didn't question it. She was warm, smart, and funny in a quiet way. A little mysterious, but not in a red flag kind of way. More like someone who's lived a life. We started seeing each other casually. Then, before I knew it, we were together almost every day. Dinners turned into sleepovers. Sleepovers turned into weekends. And before long, weekends turned into moving in. A year later, I proposed. She said yes. I don't think anyone around me suspected anything. I didn't either. Looking back now, I can see the signs. She never talked much about her family or where she grew up. Said things were complicated back home. No high school photos, no old college friends. But at the time, I just figured she was private. Not everyone wants to talk about their past. Not everyone has a perfect backstory. We got married in a simple ceremony, small guest list. A few of my family members, none from hers. She said her family wasn't involved in her life anymore. I didn't push. I figured it was painful. The first few years were the happiest. We fell into a routine. She worked from home. I was doing well at my job. She made me feel understood, like I had finally found someone who truly saw me. But around year 4, cracks started to show. It started with a weird call from the bank. They asked to verify some information for a loan Emily had applied for. I was confused because she hadn't mentioned needing a loan. When I brought it up, she laughed it off. Said it was just for a client project, something about needing to show income proof. It felt off, but I let it go. Then a few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail addressed to someone named Rebecca Lane. Same address, same birthday, different name. I asked her about it. She looked annoyed, like I had invaded her privacy. Then she told me she had legally changed her name years ago. Rebecca was her birth name, and she didn't like talking about it because it reminded her of a version of herself she was trying to leave behind. That answer left me unsettled, not because people don't change names, they do, but because she never mentioned it in the 5 years we'd been together. And once that doubt started, it didn't stop. That night, after she went to bed, I opened her laptop. I'd never done it before, never felt the need to, but something in my gut told me to look. I wish I hadn't. There were folders under different names, scanned IDs, photos of driver's licenses, applications, contracts, none of them with the same identity. And buried in an old email account were messages between her and some guy. Apparently, they used to do consulting together, but from the language, it wasn't tech or business. It looked like fraud. That's when it hit me. She didn't just change her name, she changed her whole identity, over and over again. I didn't say anything right away. I needed to process. I felt sick and betrayed. The next morning, I sat her down and asked one simple question. Who are you really? She didn't even act shocked. In fact, she looked tired. She told me her name wasn't Emily. It never had been. Her real name was, well, I don't even feel right sharing it now. I'm not even sure it was her real name. She said she'd been running for years. From what? She didn't say. Bad relationships, financial messes, and other things she didn't want to get into. When we met, she was supposed to keep it temporary, just long enough to feel safe again. But then she fell in love. That's what she told me. She fell in love and didn't want to run anymore. I asked her if she ever planned on telling me the truth. She said she had thought about it many times, but once we got married, the lie was too big. I asked her if our marriage meant anything to her. She said it did, that it was the most real thing in her life. How could I ever believe that? How do you rebuild something when the foundation was never real? I told her to leave. She didn't argue. She packed a small bag and walked out. No yelling, no crying, just silence. That was 10 months ago. I filed for divorce. Changed all the passwords, got my credit checked. I'm still dealing with everything. Questions I will never get answers to. I haven't heard from her since. People always say you never really know someone. I used to think that was just something exes said after breakups. Now I understand it completely. I shared the story not because I want sympathy, but because I know someone else out there might be in the same situation. And if that's you, and if something feels off, if your gut is telling you to ask more questions, then listen to it.